I can't say enough of how this center influenced me and the benefits that my wife got from it. I thought nobody can take care of her like me, and I knew I had to do something for my family. It's in their hearts that they want to provide the care for the people that deserve it here.
Welcome to today's show of Lancaster Perspective. I'm Mike Miller. My special guest today is Rob Stevens. Welcome, Rob.
Hi, Mike. How are you?
How you doing, buddy?
Good.
Doing all right? We're going to talk about a new procedure you're going to be in here in a little bit, but talk a little bit about Rob Stevens. Wright State University?
Wright State University, correct.
What led you to Wright State?
I'm a Raider.
Okay.
Nothing in particular other than the fact that's where I got my degree in secondary education from that part of the state, and really enjoyed my time there.
Now, Pickerington resident, and you've been around athletics a long time.
Yes.
Actually, you've had your daughters played at Pickerington Central High School and won a lot of awards, actually.
Correct. I've actually had 3 daughters. One recently just graduated this year. My oldest daughter, Stephanie, a 2006 graduate of Pickerington Central High School, played basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Won the Ohio High School Athletic Association Division I Player of the Year her senior year.
Got all her talent from her mom.
That's correct. And she went on, pursued an athletic scholarship and playing time at the University of Cincinnati. And my second daughter is currently a senior at Presbyterian College, a Division I school down in South Carolina, playing basketball.
Yep.
Of which I got to brag a little bit. She was second in the conference, in the Big South Conference in three-point shooting.
Wow.
Yeah, my third daughter, Katie, took a different route. She's at Columbus State Community College. She's taken a different route where she will be playing basketball on a full ride scholarship.
Right.
But she will obtain a dental hygienist degree in 2 years.
Well, that's fantastic. And I know you've been around coaching your whole life, and you've coached AAU, and you've done a lot of stuff. And recently, you and I talked, and you're going to start a new endeavor, a new publication.
I have.
It's going to be called SURGE. It's the Ohio Colleges and University Reference Guide.
Yeah, you got a lot in that sentence.
Yeah.
The acronym that we use is the Ohio SURGE, which again stands for the Ohio Colleges and Universities Reference Guide. It is a yearly publication that is primarily going to be used by high school guidance counselors, teachers, mentors, parents, and students to get into college.
Now, website, how do people find out? I know it's in its infant stages, and you're doing a lot of things, but if somebody wants to check on it later on?
Sure. As a matter of fact, it's under construction. The website is www.theohiosurge.com, and that's spelled www.theohiosurg.com, and it is not case sensitive, and I can be reached via direct email at rob.e.stevens, that's STEVENS, at theohiosurge.com. Again, that is not case sensitive.
And we'll get those up so people can see those on the screen.
Great.
And we'll talk about those in a little bit. But why? What did one day did you have epiphany and say, this is what I want to do? Or is this something that, I know we each have 3 daughters, and I've been through part of college, but is this something that just came to you one day and said, I want to do this?
Actually, it's been a long process. I've been very fortunate. Like I said, I identified my 3 daughters who have attained athletic scholarships. And what I found over the last 8, 9, 10 years is I had a lot of folks that would come to me, whether directly in my neighborhood, in the community, or friends of my daughter's friends and their parents would come to me and ask, how do they get into college? My daughter doesn't play basketball, or they're not into athletics or music, or they may not be in the top 10 of their class. Where's the starting point? And I told them, well, let's research it together. I would obviously ask the question back, where have they started? Well, everybody starts on the internet today.
Mm-hmm.
And what I found through my research is there is almost too much information. I would get on a website and I would spend 2 or 3 hours and I would turn the computer off, Mike, and I would say to myself, where are they to start? Where would I start?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what got me thinking about what can we do possibly to create a one-stop shop for a student to really find when to start, where to look. For instance, when should you start looking for when should you start looking for a college?
And that's a good question. Is this something that kids in junior high should be looking at, or are you going to target high school kids, or?
That's a great question. Actually, I'm targeting junior and seniors, high school students, juniors and seniors.
Okay.
They are my ultimate end user. The publication will be sent out in late September, mid to late September,
Mm-hmm.
and they will be sent out via first class mail to all the high schools. There's roughly 879 to 885 high schools in the state of Ohio, and that does include public.
Wow.
Yeah, public, private, and parochial schools, which obviously are your Catholic schools.
Sure.
And I will also be sending those publications out to all the public libraries and their branches, along with the mobile units, and there are roughly 750 of those. So you're talking about 1,600 of these publications that will be going out in late September.
And again, is this something that is going to be once a year or once a month?
Great question again. No, it's going to be a once-a-year publication. And some of the information on there, it won't necessarily something that could be updated monthly or quarterly. For instance, the ACT and the SAT. The inclusion of those deadlines, when you're supposed to sign up for those types of testings, those are already there. I've already got those dates. They're already set, and they will be included in the reference guide.
And it's important to point out that this isn't for athletics. This
Correct.
is for getting into colleges.
That's exactly right.
All right. And again, did you talk to people about this? I mean, I know we've been through different experiences with education, but in your travels throughout, again, basketball, but when you thought of this, is it something the high school, we talked about high school counselors, but administrators, principals, superintendents, teachers?
Other than the superintendents, everyone you just cited, I've talked to. And I've talked to individuals, other parents.
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably much like you, Mike, where
You're in trouble.
Well,
you don't want to be like me, believe me.
I'm a big believer in networking.
Yeah.
And that there are always people out there that have knowledge, and I want to attain that knowledge. I don't consider myself a jealous individual.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an envious individual, and I want knowledge. And that's how I really came about into getting a lot of this information. Through questions,
Mm-hmm.
and then getting those questions answered through my own research.
Now, when you were asking these questions of different individuals, I'm sure some of the guidance counselors, well, we kind of do that right now. We're supposed to. Is that something that you battle with? Is this a tool for the guidance counselors as well as what they're doing?
Absolutely. I had cited earlier that these publications, the ultimate end user is the high school juniors and seniors. But initially, when I send these publications out, the people that are going to initially see these are going to be guidance counselors, are going to be teachers, library, the reference area, people, in those workstations.
Right. Now we're this is going to be once a year, but is this something that maybe you're talking about maybe every 6 months or every quarter down the road, or is it a goal just to continue with once a year?
No, my ultimate goal is once a year. This is not about, believe it or not, I will be earning a living with this publication, but I'm really striving to promote Ohio colleges and institutions, anything dealing with higher learning.
Right.
Can even be as much as promoting the armed forces, the Air Force, the Army, Marines, the Coast Guard. I'm sure I left someone off there.
Oh.
But possibly apprentices. People want to get into electrical apprentice or plumbing apprentice,
Sure.
trade school, technicians, things of that nature.
So when somebody would say, why would I use Surge? What, I mean, you know, what's going to set you apart from somebody else?
That's another great question. The big one is it gives you a starting point. As I cited earlier, people a lot of times they don't know where to begin. Where do you start? Where do you even start to look? What words do you put in when you even start to Google? And all of a sudden you've got 1 million pages that come up, or some huge amount.
Right.
With the Ohio Surge, you will have all the tools there on where to look. For instance, I will have information, as I cited again earlier, information about the ACT and the SAT. I'll have information on there about student loans, grants, the FAFSA. A lot of times people don't know the differences between a grant or a student loan or a scholarship.
Sure.
A grant you don't have to pay back.
Right.
Student loans you do have to pay back, but that's usually 6 months after completion of work on your degree. And for whatever reason, if you would have to put a stop on your educational process after you're midway through your sophomore year or your junior year, that's when that's when the process would start, would be 6 months after that point, where you would have to begin paying that student loan back. A lot of people don't know that. They think once you get a student loan that you have to start paying on it right away, and that's not true.
And those are all good things. I know, again, having 2 daughters go through school, those are all questions that I had, back at the very, okay, what do I do? How do I do this? Where do I go to get, there's Pell Grants, there's Stafford loans, there's all these different things. And it's interesting, the concept of doing it throughout Ohio. I would just thought maybe just start with a local school district, but having it in Ohio, that's a lot to do.
It is, and you had made mention of who would benefit with this publication. I can only really speak in terms of the school district that I live in, and that is the Pickerington Local School Districts here in Fairfield County. They do a phenomenal job with their students. Resources, follow-up, networking. It really, truly is a great working process throughout the school year. And they do start at their junior year. Now, I have heard that there may be some guidance counseling offices or guidance counselors that, to no fault of their own, they don't have the type of resources that possibly they have up in Pickerington. And this tool, the Ohio Surge, is meant for that type of guidance counselor or guidance counselor office, because all the tools are right there.
Right. Now, to do this, this publication, I'm assuming you're going to have advertisers, or you're going to sell advertising for it. Your background's in advertising, sales.
That is correct. My degree actually is secondary education, but for the last 25 years I've been in sales and marketing. That's correct. Yeah. There are going to be advertising opportunities, and I'm going to kind of tie these together, if I may.
Sure.
The publication is going to be split up into 5 regions: Central Ohio, Northeast Ohio, Northwest Ohio, Southeast Ohio, and Southwest Ohio. And in those regions, I will be promoting the colleges and institutions as it pertains to those specific regions.
Right.
And in those regions, I'm going to allow advertising with a limit of 6. I'm not going to go any further than that. I don't want a publication full of advertisement.
Right.
But there may be some colleges or institutions or tech schools that normally don't have that opportunity to promote what they do, at their place of business, and I'm giving them that opportunity to promote a tech school or a college in Southwest Ohio or Southeast Ohio. I'm not looking for the salon or a boutique or an eatery, anything of that nature. It has to be education related.
Now, have you made contact with some of these schools already?
No, I have. And I'm in the process right now of securing some advertisement. And I must say, you want to be part of the Ohio Surge. You are going to be reaching, for instance, this year, statistically, there were, for the latest statistics for the school year 2008-2009, which is the latest, there were 122,000 graduating seniors in the state of Ohio. Wow. That is my end user. Now, of course, you're going to have scholarships in there, a certain percentage already have the schools in mind, but a large portion of those students had to begin this cumbersome task of trying to find a college. And I'm just trying to make this simpler for the juniors, the sophomores, the freshmen, in the upcoming years.
Now, we talked earlier about starting even in junior high or something. Is that too young? Is that?
It's really never too young. We just recently found a postcard for Mother's Day written by my daughter, who recently graduated from Pickerington. And it was a picture of her in kindergarten when she wanted to be a dentist. And here we are, 10 years, well, actually 12 years later, and she's going into the field of dental hygienist. So it's really never too early. I would say that if there was a starting point, probably the beginning of your junior year is when you really ought to start looking.
And we talked earlier about going to Wright State and getting a degree in secondary education. Is that something you wanted to do when you were younger? Did you want to be a teacher?
Yeah, I did, but at the time I was married. I had a couple of children already, and I had already had a position while going to school full time, and I just stuck with sales and marketing. And at the time, quite frankly, the field of education didn't pay that well. I'm kind of kicking myself now because I do have an older sibling, an older brother, who just recently retired from the field of education.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, it's interesting. My dad was an educator. He was a superintendent in Northern Ohio, and both my brothers and my brother and sister are both teachers, and they've enjoyed it tremendously. But when you get, I guess when you first started about this, you had all these things. Did you run into anybody who said, why are you doing that?
To the contrary.
Really?
When I started asking questions, I started getting a lot of feedback of, wow, that's an interesting concept,
it is.
That would be something that I could have used, or that's something I could use. And no, everything's been positive. And the more I delved into this and started research and sharing information with my networking partners, etc., the more excited I get. I learn something every day. And again, Mike, the ultimate goal is I want to keep the Ohio student in the state of Ohio. I do know that the latest statistics is the state of Ohio is one of those states that they are losing population. And somewhere, somehow, I'd like to stop that, because it doesn't make any difference what field you want to go into. There are tremendous colleges and universities here in the state of Ohio that offer nursing, engineering programs, education. The list could, really goes on and on.
Sure. As this develops, and is this something that maybe you can take nationally down the road?
I do have a business plan. Nationally would be great, but my 5-year business plan is obviously today we're launching and talking about the Ohio Surge. I'm looking at adding.
So when you become rich and famous, you're going to come back. And
there we go.
Okay,
and you've got daughters that may be seeking employment.
We got some crew here.
That's true. But I think it could be probably a very lucrative type of a position.
Sure.
But I'm looking within 5 years of adding the state of Indiana and the state of Kentucky.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow, that is interesting. We're talking with Rob Stevens, organizing a new publication, Ohio Surge, the Ohio Colleges and Universities Reference Guide. Should be available in September?
Correct. Will be sent out mailing. I believe the date is September 24th will be the day that those will be sent out.
Okay. And again, it's going to be a yearly publication.
Correct.
Designed for juniors, seniors in high school. Basically, their parents is what it's going to be designed for.
That's true. And if I can add that not only will they be sent to the high schools here in the state of Ohio, and as I cited earlier, and the libraries, the branches, and the mobile units, if somebody wanted to purchase one of these online, if you go to my website, right now we're running where people do have an opportunity. If a parent doesn't want to fight the line at the guidance counselor's office or fight the line at the local library, if they wanted this publication themselves, they can go to my website and they can find that they can have this delivered on the same date in mid to late September for a modest fee of $35, and we are waiving all shipping and handling fees.
That's
the normal price on that, if a guidance counseling office here in the state of Ohio wanted to order additional reference guides,
Sure.
Those are going to be $45. So it's It's a good bargain to get right now.
And the website one more time?
Sure, it's www.theohiosurge.com.
And that's Surge, C-U-R-G.
Correct.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, it sounds like a great idea. You know, it sounds like a super idea, and I know there are parents that talk about, I don't know the first step about going to search for educations, or, you know, maybe they didn't get a chance to go to college, and, you know, where can I go? Will this have scholarship information in it also?
It will. It will have, because a lot of times, again, what people don't know, and I will have writers that will talk about this pretty extensively.
Yeah.
There are so many scholarships that are available,
Yes.
but they're not published.
Right.
I know there was a scholarship that my daughter recently applied for. It was specifically for Fairfield County residents, and you had to utilize that monies if you
Sure.
obtained that scholarship. It had to be used for an Ohio institution. If you wanted to go to, let's say, out of state at another college, university, you couldn't use that money. It had to stay in state. But there are so many of those, and Pickerington High School, Central, and I'm sure as well as at Pickerington North, they have all that information.
Sure, yeah.
And that I do know is updated, not monthly, almost daily. They do a great job of that.
Now, one of the things we're talking about the program, but I believe it's your oldest daughter is now involved with Maryland
Correct.
basketball, and that's
Yes.
that's great. I mean, talk a little bit about that.
I tell you, I could spend all day talking about each one of my children. Stephanie, last year, went to Gallaudet University, one of the only institutions in the United States for deaf, for the hard of hearing. She earned a scholarship for her master's degree, and also became the assistant coach at Gallaudet University. They attained national recognition, NBC, ABC, CBS. I've got pictures of her being interviewed by ESPN because they did so well. They would play mainstream colleges, Division III, but they did have the opportunity to go to the NCAA Division III championship. Now, they lost their first game, but what an accomplishment.
Oh, absolutely.
And since then, she has taken a job at the University of Maryland under head coach Brenda Fries. Her job, it's new, so forgive me. She's the recruiter or coordinator of recruitment services, or coordinator of recruitment, something along those lines. It'll come to me here probably in the next few minutes. But she's on staff with a program that 4 years ago, they actually won the Division I national championship.
Yeah.
And I couldn't be more proud of her.
Well, that is great. That is really, really neat. I wish her the best of luck. I know that you're very proud of your kids, as we all are, and that's super.
Well, she gives back. She's very approachable.
Yeah.
I know of some kids that have actually emailed her, and she emails them back.
That's great.
Very prompt, very professional. And again, I'm proud of all my kids, but it's special.
Well, Rob Stevens, we appreciate you coming in today and talking about the Ohio Colleges and University Reference Guide. Going to be available coming up in September. And one more time, the website they can go to?
Sure, www.theohiosurge.com.
Well, Rob, we do appreciate it very much. And at one time, someone told me you used to do a little boxing, too.
I did. Right out of high school, welterweight. That was about 65 pounds ago. But I like fighting. As a matter of fact, you will catch me up. Probably the only night you'll catch me up late in the evening is watching the MMA. I really enjoy the full contact, the octagon.
Did you think that would be where it is today?
No, I had no idea. Initially, I thought it was the most dangerous thing I'd ever seen in my life. But no, they've made tremendous. It's very safety oriented. It really is. I find, and I just enjoy those. To me, they're the ultimate athlete. I used to think, and I'm not. I don't know, boxers or whatever. I used to think that we were the best athletes, but it's not even close anymore.
Wow.
It really is a neat sport.
Interesting. Well, again, Rob, we appreciate you coming in.
Thanks,
and good luck
Mike.
with the publication. And sounds like you're going to do a great service to all the parents out there.
Great. Thank you very much.
Hope you've enjoyed today's show. And remember, until we meet again, let's make a difference.
There are so many fun things we all can do to be healthier, no matter who you are or where you are. So let's move.
Oh, here we go.
Let's stretch in the grass.
What a play!
Let's play tag.
Wow, unbelievable.
Let's jump up and down.
Oh, what a way to finish it.
And most of all, let's eat better so that we have the energy we need to play an hour a day, every day.
Everyone can play. Just go to letsmove.gov to learn more.